Oh my, the deep state is in an utter panic today. Shall we say the Adam Schiff is hitting the fan? We're going to take a look at the public release of the documents that were used to justify the Robert Mueller Russian investigation and find out just how dishonest Adam Schiff and the Democrats were in perpetrating this hoax. And we're going to see further why this is only the beginning of what promises to be the biggest scandal to ever rock DC. And it appears that the day of reckoning for deep state operatives is at hand. You're not going to want to miss this one. Greetings, everyone. Dr. Steve here with you. I certainly hope you're all having a safe and sound, lovely lockdown Thursday. If this is your first time here with us and you're looking for some daily encouragement and optimism in the midst of all of this nonsense spewed from our left-wing Marxist media, you've found your oasis in this channel. We analyze current events and learn some super awesome conservative trends so that you can live in the present in light of even better things to come. That's right. We help you think better so you can feel better. So if you haven't already done so, you know what to do. Make sure to smack that bell and subscribe button. It'll be an absolute privilege to have you as a regular part of this channel where we together each and every day get to celebrate the inevitable collapse of left-wing globalism and the unstoppable rise of a new conservative age. So let's start with our video chat question of the day. Do you believe that deep state operatives will be indicted in the coming days? Let us know in the comments below. We have the special investigator John Durham already saying that his investigation has indeed turned into a criminal investigation. So do you believe that we'll be seeing deep state operatives indicted in the coming days? Let us know what you think in the comments below, because frankly, the latest revelations that we're going to go over today, we're going to look at, are horrific. And it's being widely reported that members of the deep state, as we speak, are in panic mode. So stay tuned. But first, one of the things we have to deal with is the simple fact that all of us leave behind final expenses such as funeral costs, medical bills, and other debts. In fact, did you know that the average funeral alone is between $8,000 and $9,000? So what that means is that having no insurance when you die can leave your loved ones with a huge bill to deal with. And obviously, none of us want that. But you can take control of your family's destiny today and have the satisfaction that they'll be financially taken care of. So make sure to click on the link below and visit ratefamily.com and get a free quote. No waiting periods, 100% benefits. Even if you've been turned down before, they guarantee coverage for everybody, no matter the situation. So yes, it's true. They guarantee coverage for everyone, no matter the situation. So don't wait. Click on that link below and visit ratefamily.com or simply give them a call at 1-859-919-RATE. You'll be glad that you did. All right, gang, so let's dive right in here. We have some major breaking news coming out of the whole investigation of the Russian collusion hoax perpetrated by congressional Democrats and their mouthpieces in the mainstream Marxist media. Fox News is reporting that transcripts of House Intelligence Committee interviews that are mostly unredacted have indeed been cleared for release to the public, and they clearly show that top law enforcement intelligence officials did indeed affirm that there was no evidence of collusion between the Trump campaign and Russia during the 2016 election. Now, this would obviously align with the conclusions of the special counsel Robert Mueller's investigation. Good old bumbling Bob Mueller, who concluded that there was, in fact, no collusion whatsoever between Trump and his campaign and the Russian government to influence the outcome of the 2016 election. There was no collusion. There was obviously, therefore, no obstruction of justice, since there was nothing to obstruct. There was no crime to try to cover up. Now, why this is so important here, the scandal that seems to be bursting to the surface in all of this, is that you had the ultra-left-wing Democrat Adam Schiff, who was the chairman of the Intelligence Committee, which should send a chill down your spine if you think about it. But this Adam Schiff publicly declared in numerous statements and interviews that he had direct evidence of collusion between the Trump campaign and Russia. But here we have now a transcript of the conclusion of top law enforcement intelligence officials who he interviewed that explicitly contradict that statement. Schiff, being the chairman, knew of this. And so there's a blatant contradiction between Schiff's public statements about supposed evidence for the Russian collusion with the Trump campaign and the assessment that his committee was given by law enforcement and intelligence officials. Now, The Republicans have called for this transcript, along with several other, frankly, we're talking 6,000 pages of transcripts pertaining to the interviews that were conducted by Schiff's committee back in 2017, 2018. The House Republicans want those transcripts made public. And so the director of national intelligence, who's now Richard Grenell, he's notified Adam Schiff that the transcripts are ready for release to the public. And Schiff's response? You probably guessed it. He's dragging his feet. He's stonewalling. He's not allowing the transcripts to be made public. In fact, Schiff is actively trying to smear Grenell, this director of intelligence, who's a Trump ally, of course. And Schiff is trying to shift the blame to him, saying that he may have played a part in unduly influencing the transcripts to make Schiff look bad once they're made public. But there's a problem with that. The intelligence community made it clear that the transcripts were made ready for public viewing, which means that they have to, go through the process of redaction, declassification, but that process of redaction and declassification was complete before Grenell took the helm as director this past February. And to make matters even worse to Schiff, Grenell has written to Schiff to tell him that if Schiff doesn't release the transcripts, well, then the Office of the Director of National Intelligence, well, he will. In other words, these transcripts will see the light of day no matter what Schiff tries to hide. And so as one senior administration official put it to Fox News, Schiff is in full panic mode at this point. So we're already seeing the conservative news outlets coming out and saying, this is it. We're finally all going to be able to see what a congenital liar Adam Schiff really is. And it's not just Adam Schiff. Schiff, in many respects, is just the tip of the iceberg. I think we're seeing the entire deep state going into a total and complete panic mode here. And they're panicking precisely because the noose is beginning to tighten regarding what's called Crossfire Hurricane, Operation Crossfire Hurricane, which was the code name used for the counterintelligence investigation of the Trump presidential campaign and its supposed ties to Russian officials. We now know Crossfire Hurricane started as an attempt to sabotage Trump's presidential campaign by Obama officials. And then after Trump was elected, it turned into an attempt to launch a successful coup, which would in effect overthrow a duly elected president. We now know that Hillary Clinton committed obstruction of justice by deleting subpoenaed emails on her private server, but that the FBI investigation into that was thoroughly compromised by then FBI Director James Comey. We now know that Comey had already written up an exoneration of Hillary before he even interviewed her. Comey and the FBI agent Peter Strzok, who's that rabid left-wing lunatic in charge of the Hillary investigation, we now know that they both exonerated her from the very beginning. It was a total sham of an investigation. We now know that there was premeditated fraud committed by the highest ranks of the FBI and the Justice Department. FBI Director James Comey and his deputy Andrew McCabe on 4 different occasions obtained FISA warrants to spy on the Trump campaign and presidency by submitting an anti-Trump Russian dossier as grounds for those FISA warrants, even though they knew that the document was in fact the work of an opposition research team, which we now know as Fusion GPS, that was hired and paid for by the Clinton campaign. So they knew that they were attempting to obtain these warrants using fraudulent information. So we have a number of indictments of FISA abuse. We have a dirty dossier bought and paid for by the Clinton campaign. We have a sham investigation into Clinton's obstruction of justice. We have unwarranted spying on a presidential candidate and then president. We have premeditated fraud. And on top of all of this, we now have explicit evidence that the Democrat in charge of the House Intelligence Committee knew this was all a fraud. He knew that there wasn't a shred of evidence for any kind of Russian collusion among the Trump campaign. And yet he knowingly continued the fraud by calling for the Mueller investigation. We know now, as of today, as of the leaking of these documents that Adam Schiff is so far refusing to make known to the public, we know that he had full knowledge there was no evidence, zilch, for Russian collusion in the 2016 campaign, and yet he went ahead, by ordering the Mueller investigation. We now have incontrovertible evidence that the entire Russian investigation was a total sham. It was a waste of taxpayer money and resources. It should never have happened. But now we really, really know that. We now know that Adam Schiff knew it should never have happened. And he had absolutely no problem whatsoever squandering tens of millions of dollars of taxpayer money on a sham investigation that turned up literally nothing. Lindsey Graham put it this way: we now know there was no legal foundation for the Mueller investigation. That legal foundation has crumbled. There was no legal justification in suspecting the Trump campaign of any Russian collusion in the least. And yet the Democrats forced our entire nation into a special prosecutor investigation that lasted over 2 years, with the media, the mainstream Marxist media, parroting their propaganda 24/7 over the course of those 2 years. And none of it should have ever legally taken place. So needless to say, I think we're beginning to see the Adam Schiff hit the fan, particularly with the major investigation of all of this led by U.S. Attorney John Durham. Attorney General Barr has appointed U.S. Attorney John Durham to investigate all of this. The premeditated fraud, the surveillance of the Trump campaign, the supposed Clinton investigation, right? And now we're seeing the extent to which the congressional Democrats knowingly participated in this fraud. And Barr has already issued a statement that he's seen everything he needs to see in order for heads to roll in Washington, D.C. Indictments are coming. Durham's probe has officially turned into a criminal investigation, and the deep state knows that the time of reckoning appears to be at hand. Now, before you go, speaking of presidential campaigns, you'll definitely want to check out my latest video on the implosion of the Biden campaign. Things simply couldn't be worse for Biden, for this presumptive Democratic nominee, and I think it's just going to absolutely make your day. So make sure to click on the link, and I will see you over there. God bless.